Star Wars The Clone Wars' new 7th season is composed of episodes that were written before the Disney takeover, and even began production before the show was cancelled. Fragments of some of the later episodes have been released as unfinished story reels, and the Bad Batch arc was actually released in full in 2015, albeit with unfinished animation. But while the Bad Batch arc got finished for season 7, there was actually another Clone Wars arc that was released unfinished that unfortunately won't be completed for the season 7 lineup. That arc would be the Crystal Crisis arc, and in this video, we'll be discussing the events of these 4 Clone Wars episodes that you might not have even seen.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
In 19 BBY, a Jedi Master named Tu-An turned up dead on Utapau, prompting the Jedi Council to send Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi to retrieve the body. Utapau, at that point, was neutral in the Clone Wars, though the Confederacy had been attempting to make inroads there for a while, to little success. Tu-An was a maverick, a Jedi who often disappeared for months at a time on personal missions, and the Padawan investigators couldn't determine a cause of death for her. Anakin and Obi-Wan couldn't either, though they did notice scuff marks on her limbs. Anakin sensed a great deal of confusion in her mind at the time of death. Determined to get to the bottom of the matter, Anakin and Obi-Wan inspected the site at which Tu-An's body was found. They determined that, at the time she was attacked, she was facing a nearby building, and Anakin noticed that there was a tiny hole in one of the building's windows. They concluded that Tu-An was likely killed by a precision laser dart, an advanced weapon that induced fatal seizures in the victim and left no visible cause of death. The building from which Tu-An had been killed was empty, but after Anakin engaged in some aggressive negotiations with the Toydarian owner, the Jedi learned that he had been paid to leave the building open and empty at the time of Tu-An's death by a Magna Guard. The Jedi also discovered slime in the room, slime of the kind excreted by the Amani, a primitive serpentine species that had tribal communities in Utapau's sinkholes and on its plains. The sinkhole Amani, when questioned, pointed Kenobi and Skywalker to a nearby cave. The Jedi proceeded to explore the cave and discovered that they had been right. A pair of Magna Guards had set up a small base there, but before they could attack the droids, a large Nos monster that lived in the cave attacked the 2 Jedi, alerting the Magna Guards to their presence. The droids leapt onto stops and took off, but Anakin and Obi-Wan killed the monster and set off in hot pursuit. They managed to catch the Magna Guards before they escaped to the plains and extracted footage from one of the droids. It confirmed that the Magna Guards had been working with Amani, as well as with the Sugi, a species of vicious arms dealers. They followed this lead to an Amani village on Utapau's plains, not far from Pao City. They were attacked as soon as they came in range, costing the Jedi their mounts, but they were ultimately successful in frightening off the tribe. Anakin and Obi-Wan set off in pursuit of the Amani leader, but were captured by the Sugi along the way. Thinking quickly, they stated that they had come to purchase whatever the Sugi were selling to the Separatists, and the Sugi took them to their leader, a diminutive coward named Endente. Endente told the Jedi that he already made a deal to sell the weapon in question, which he referred to only as the Crystal, to General Grievous. When they offered to double whatever Grievous was paying, the Sugi reluctantly took them back to their base, a starship concealed hastily beneath a tarp that blended in with its surroundings. After contacting Count Dooku, Endente ordered his men to kill the Jedi, but Anakin and Obi-Wan naturally had other plans. They escaped their would-be killers and broke into an arms locker, where Anakin retrieved a pair of blasters. He used them to make short work of all the Sugi warriors in sight before he was finally able to retrieve his lightsaber. Panicking, Endente fled the scene, leaving the ship to Anakin and Obi-Wan, but he left more behind than the ship. He also abandoned the weapon he had planned to sell to Grievous. It was a Kyber crystal, a massive one, bigger than any either Jedi had ever seen before. The Jedi attempted to take the Sugi vessel, crystal and all, off Utapau, but the Sugi sabotaged the ship's engines, grounding it and forcing them to seek out alternative forms of transportation. While Indente gathered a small army of Sugi warriors, complete with chariot speeders, Anakin and Obi-Wan managed to get the crystal onto a hovercart and went about trying to find a beast of burden. They eventually got one and hooked it up to the cart, but the creature was slow, even when provided with the ever-alluring incentive of a piece of fruit tied to a stick. As the Jedi approached Power City at a snail's pace, the Sugi caught up with them, opening fire with the guns of their speeders. However, several of these shots hit the crystal, and when they did, it magnified the energy and then refracted it right back, vaporizing several of the Sugi in the process. The Sugi changed tactics in light of this, opting to get in closer and use more precision, but this proved to be their undoing. Anakin managed to steal one of their speeders and gun down the others, forcing Indente to run once more. As the chase went on, General Grievous and a company of battle droids landed in Power City. There, he met with the Padawan governor and the inspector who the Jedi had met earlier, who turned out to be secret separatists. Upon learning that Indente was still not present, he sent a pair of Magna Guards after them. These guards came within sight of Anakin and Obi-Wan not long after they finished hooking up Anakin's stolen speeder to the hovercart. The Jedi maneuvered the sinkholes of Power City and managed to ditch their remaining Sugi pursuers before leading the Magna Guards on a chase. Back in the governor's office, Indente finally met with Grievous and tried to convince him that he still had the crystal. Grievous didn't buy it, however. His guards had reported that Anakin and Obi-Wan had stolen it. He beheaded Indente and announced that he would handle the situation himself, taking off in a chariot speeder of his own. He and two more Magna Guards joined the chase, but Obi-Wan's unflinching defense of the crystal and Anakin's piloting skills allowed the Jedi to lose their pursuers and make it to one of Power City's spaceports. Unfortunately, the governor and Grievous's battle droids had made it to the spaceport as well. The droids loaded the crystal onto a shuttle, forcing Anakin and Obi-Wan to steal a small freighter to pursue with. The governor tried to stop them, but the Jedi made short work of his battle droids and he was left empty-handed when Grievous arrived. As the governor tried to stutter out an apology, Grievous impaled him and left his corpse on the landing pad, while he went to secure his own transport. With the Jedi in close pursuit, the shuttle carrying the crystal made for a separatist supply ship, maneuvering through the fleet Grievous had brought with him in an attempt to shake them off. But Grievous himself was close behind the Jedi in his starfighter, and as the shuttle got close to the supply ship, he managed to score several hits on the Jedi freighter, forcing Anakin and Obi-Wan to come up with another plan. Anakin set the freighter to ram the supply ship hyperdrive, and then he and Obi-Wan fled the doomed ship in escape pods. Obi-Wan successfully maneuvered his pod to land in the same hangar as the shuttle, but Anakin landed in a secondary hangar due to a malfunction, taking him out of the action for a while. Grievous landed in the main hangar and, after a brief duel, defeated and captured Obi-Wan, who he prepared to execute as painfully as possible. Unfortunately for him, Anakin managed to rescue his old master while Grievous was still getting his torture equipment ready. The Jedi proceeded to steal back the crystal from the vault that Grievous locked it in and began using its energy refraction powers offensively, blasting massive holes through the ship's sea deck to make a shortcut to the hangar. With Grievous in pursuit, they managed to get the crystal to the hangar, but fire from droid snipers disabled the crystal's repulsor lifts, preventing the Jedi from taking it off the supply ship. As Anakin stole an escape shuttle, Obi-Wan settled on the next best thing, destroying the weapon. He set a column of armored assault tanks in the hangar to repeatedly fire on the crystal and it began to overheat. Anakin and Obi-Wan then fled the scene in a stolen shuttle and Grievous took off after them in his fighter, but the damage was already done. The crystal exploded, destroying not just the supply ship but a swath of the fleet along with it, consuming multiple warships in a massive fireball. Back on Coruscant, they reported the incident to the Jedi Council and asked if any of the Masters had ever heard of such a crystal before. Yoda had. The crystal encountered by Anakin and Obi-Wan came straight out of Tales of the Old Sith Wars, when the Sith Empires of old unleashed weapons of incredible power against the Republic. All of them had been powered by crystals of that nature, crystals with the potential to destroy entire planets. So luckily, it didn't get in the hands of the Separatists. So anyways, that was the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan's mission to Utapau, the story of a forgotten Clone Wars arc that we unfortunately won't be seeing in Season 7. But what do you think? Would you like to see us discuss some of the other episodes that will never see the light of day sometime in the future? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section below. And just before you guys go, make sure you check out all those juicy links in the description below, including our Geetsly's gaming network, our main Geetsly's Discord server, and the Patreon if you want to help support the channel more than you already are by watching this video. If you do decide to donate, you get access to a special behind the scenes Discord where you can interact with the entire team who helps make all these videos. Anyways guys, as always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.